Good evening. Bob Robichek, 13 Clover Lane. Because I'm going to talk about the PUD, I want to be clear that I'm doing it as a Londonderry resident, not as a member of any board or committee in town that I may be involved with. Also support veterans. I think it's a great idea. As I mentioned in a prior town council meeting, the current 2024 PUD ordinance, the most recent edition, is both strong and weak in a lot of ways. And I'm going to try to be brief, okay, but please hear me out. While Londonderry's ordinance likely aims to promote flexible, high-quality development, but it has flaws: ambiguity, limited public input, excessive flexibility, weak environmental protections, in some cases missing housing mandates and enforcement gaps. And these put together aren't unique to Londonderry, but they reflect broader challenges in PUD ordinances in New England and throughout the country, where you're trying to balance developer incentives with public welfare. It's tricky. It may be beneficial as a suggestion, and these are all suggestions. I'm not being critical of planning or the town to temporarily suspend the current PUD until it can be updated, undergo thorough review and benchmarking with other New Hampshire towns and national models, and there's plenty, to amend the ordinance with clear metrics, stronger safeguards, and more robust enforcement. And just want to share a couple of quick points on that. I appreciate your patience. One of them is vague criteria. The ordinance uses subjective terms like enhanced community character, provide significant public benefit, without really clear metrics. For example, the ordinance states that PUD should be promoting general welfare. It doesn't really quantify what that really means or what significant is or adequate is for infrastructure contributions, and that's a big issue. The other thing, so it creates issues for enforcement by the town and the planning board. Weak public participation, that's a big one. The ordinance mandates one public hearing before the planning board, but doesn't really require additional engagement such as neighborhood meetings, advance notifications. Unlike comment periods, the process relies heavily on developer plans with limited resident input until very late stages. That was mentioned before by the planning board. As a result, residents may feel excluded, especially for larger PUDs that can have a significant impact on their neighborhood. This can erode trust, which we don't want, and lead to opposition, as seen in other towns with contentious PUD approvals. We list them on the website, but public notices are often buried in various places. We need to be much stronger about that and have a clear notification timeline. There's only a couple others. Thank you. Excessive flexible standards. The current PUD allows broad waivers from zoning standards, setbacks, height limitations, parking, with very minimal constraints. And the ability to do so by the planning board is potentially an issue on the PUD if the PUD meets general goals but doesn't cap waivers like a maximum height limitation or parking spot relief. As a result of being overly flexible, it can lead to developments that are incompatible with surroundings and constrain infrastructure like roads, sewers, et cetera, infrastructure in general. The last two are no mandatory affordable housing. The ordinance does state that incentivizes affordable housing through density bonuses, but it's optional, not required. And that's been a big issue, as you folks know, in town with affordable housing. Developers can choose other benefits like open space to qualify for bonuses, bypassing the housing need. The current PUD ordinance references affordable housing as a potential benefit. It doesn't really mandate it, unlike model ordinances requiring clearly defined fixed percentages based on income levels ranging from 10 to 20% of the units in the development. Those would be market workforce housing that would be indexed by income levels that are clearly stated so that you can understand, somebody qualifies or not. Last but not least, this is a big one, and that's the enforcement issue and monitoring, and that's something that I've seen in my practice as well. The ordinance lacks mechanisms to ensure long-term compliance with PUD commitments, specifically how to, maintaining open space in that PUD, completing infrastructure projects, which are critical. The PUD requires a development agreement, which is, I have the actual PUD language here, but that's actually being disputed by people even on our planning board about whether it's needed or not. It's a little vague in the language. But does not mandate, as far as I can tell, performance bonds, regular inspections, or penalties for noncompliance, which are huge. Yeah. I'm almost done. Thank you. Yeah. As a result, it's difficult to enforce the PUDs. So we have a chance to do something for the community to improve it. I think it doesn't have to take years or even many months. We have a lot of other models to look at, but we need to just do better. Thank you. And I actually have a copy of this I'll leave with you folks. And
Thank you, Bob.
I try to do as quick as I can.
You
Thank
did.
Mr. Chair.
You just went a few seconds over, so you did good. Anybody else with public comment?
Thank you.
Thank
Bob.
you.
And
Appreciate it.
Jesus, sorry about that.
That's it?
You know, I'll give one to you guys and-
Thank you, sir.
Marge Bedoy,
I
189,
left my copy here. Sorry about that.
189 Litchfield Road. I too am speaking on my personal opinions, and I would like to just ditto what he said. The PUD, it's got faults. Those faults are being exploited by developers, and we need to take a break and try and repair this PUD ordinance. Much like a car that needs to be repaired, you don't try and do it while you're driving the car. We need to take this ordinance off the road, put it in for repairs, bring it back when it's fixed. And I don't know what everyone is afraid of. We've got the town council that says, oh, we can't do anything unless planning says we need it. And planning doesn't want to do anything unless town council gives them permission. So I think we can't keep sitting on our thumbs and just waiting for somebody else to do it. We need to act.
Glenn Douglas, 6 Overlook Ave. PUD again. We had a couple of people talk about the PUD this morning, or earlier. My understanding is the process was the town council sent it to the planning board was going to review it. At the last planning board meeting, the chair of the planning board said he will not do anything without a consensus of the town council. I sent an email to the town council with a video clip of that and said, what is the process? Didn't get brought up in liaison reports. So it seems to be we're kicking the can back and forth.